Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a late start on a Tuesday. We have a bit of a challenge this morning when we started. I apologize to everybody for being as late as I am. What actually happened this morning was that we had an emergency call from the school that my daughter had a nosebleed and that I had to come pick her up. So that made a bit of a challenge for me to be able to to be able to start on time. So after that, came back in and had a few tech issues. Looks like the server had needed to get a reboot or a rollback because we've had some people crashing on there. So I do hope that won't need to happen while I'm live, but you never can tell. So let's see. I'm just double checking if I can figure out why I'm getting much louder audio quality than you guys are. But I've moved everything around in my office. So that's another piece of it, is I'm probably popping a little bit for you guys. Let me drop it down. It's nothing you could deal with. Fantastic Shockbox. Things happen. Things happen. Okay, and Windows is being a bit of a pill, but that's just the way it goes. There we go. Perfect. Okay, that will help a lot. So I want to hear what you guys are hearing. And it just turned out that my Spotify was being a pill and didn't want to actually let me hear that. So now I'm supposedly hearing roughly what you're hearing, even though my computer's a little down. There we go. Okay, 50. Okay, perfect. So I told the people on the server that I can actually, I have no problem if they stay there and they can chit-chat. I don't mind. I just needed them to keep everything family friendly. So, long story made super short for everybody. Suffice to say, I had a couple of problems, as you guys had seen last week, with the Vault Hunters solo world. Namely, the big one was that the villagers that I was trying to trade with, they kept pathing themselves off of roofs and trees and stuff and basically committing suicide. So, not to mention that I was trying to craft, what's the word? Nope, that's not what I want. I was trying to dig up the ores that we needed to start the game, basically, to get everything rolling properly. And unfortunately, it did not turn out... Okay. It did not turn out well in that respect, as in I got one of the things I needed and could not seem to get myself the rest. I apologize to K-Chap. Sorry about that. My fault. On the family-friendly front. Okay, anyways. So where I'm going with this one, we will hopefully be able to stay, but there is a slim chance that I might have just upset one of the other players by being family friendly, which is not necessarily fair, but they were saying that they wanted it to be everything. Oh shoot, what's the recipe for this one? Book. Vault? Book? Nope, that's not it. At vault. Not exclamation vault. At vault. At vault. Book. There we go. Oh, that's the old book. Okay. So, suffice to say, I'm an unwelcome person, but it seemed like I was okay with just about everybody, and it turns out it's not. So we will discuss this with someone else after stream, and I'll just back out and we'll go mine some copper. The reason I was not going into things we can talk after. So I'm just going to switch really quickly into the Minecraft for vanilla, and we'll go and do some copper mining. It's been one of those days. So unfortunately, this is not ideal, but it happens. So apologies to everybody for that. I'm just trying to get everything rolling here. Come on, screen. Okay, this one I can quit out of. Where's the other one? So the plan had been to do some Vault Hunters work, and I was going to show you what I was working on, but sounds like that's not going to be a situation that is going to work well. That was a bit of a surprise to me, because I'd already talked to the server owner, but hey, as I said, things go pear-shaped awfully quickly. And if all else fails and I can't get that loading fast enough for my taste at the moment, we'll jump into bingo, because I'm wired enough that I can handle that. That might be our best bet, is hit up some bingo. No. Wait. Oh, DC. Okay, DC's server will come up, so that's good. Let's switch it up real quick. Plaid, logo. Joining the world on that one. Putting Vault Hunters. Could be worse, I guess. Pause for 2 seconds. I'm just going to give myself a bit of a hydrate. Sorry about that. And let's qualify this. Pardon me.
Everybody hydrate!
Alright, this one runs. I can kill the bingo that was starting to try and run in the background to make everything all choppy. Put that. Alright. We'll just consider Tuesday a bit of a write-off. I'm pretending it's a mulligan. And, yeah. Okay, so, we need ourselves more copper. Suffice to say, long story short, so this is all we've got of waxed copper. Now, I could probably do the statue in something else. One of the thoughts I had was potentially mixing in some granite. But I'm not very good at, modeling things to mix it up. So that was part of the problem. I'll show you where we're at with the... I think this is the unwaxed stuff in here. Oh, nope. I guess I waxed it all. Okay. So it looks like I'm caught up. Let's just... Extraction squirrel. Come on. 2, 3. And got here. 1, 2. And we'll put the third one over here. There we go. Extra buckets. Alright, now I'm just going to double check my tools and make sure that we're good, and then we're out of here. This efficiency, unbreaking. Need some more. That. Well, that's honey box, okay. Is this? Yeah, that's torches. Okay, we have plenty of those. So just grab a bunch of those, and then we're out. Bedroom, yeah. Okay, and I'm gonna grab 1 shulker box fresh. I mean, I guess I could get 2 or 3. Hello, cats. This one. This is the extra one. So he's 32. I found him sitting in the wheat. Apparently I'd tamed him months ago and didn't remember I'd done so. So rather than breeding him up, he's the only one like his style in this group. He shall not be named because I was going to call him, the cat who shall not be named by not naming him. And then I realized, well, that fits the cat who theory, or theme. So I just gave him the shall not be named. Yeah. Which is kind of ridiculous that his name shall not be named. I came over for shulkers and didn't grab them. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Plenty of space. Not like we're going to be down there that long, but... Okay, so just before we head down, where are we at in the cave patterns? 3, 2... Okay, so we're basically headed to the southeast corner, and then we're going to work our way back to the west. And cross our fingers that we don't run into too much trouble. So, yeah. If I headed up to the north side instead and kept on going that way, I would crash into the mine shafts I was working on earlier. So, not high on my list. Alright, let's go on in and see what we got. Hope the music is okay for everybody, as in the choice, as well as the volume level. If it's not, please do have someone let me know. I did not write down where the central coordinates were, so we'll just have to look it up later, or go down to the end of the tunnel. I'm just want to get going back into a groove. There we go. Alright. Now I do have a beacon up top, but it's not going to, most likely not going to kick in, just because I actually have to get up there and move it, and it doesn't actually go this long anyways, so just one of those things I didn't think about in short order. So I'll go through this first one, and we'll see how long it takes us to get all the way down, but if it's being really annoying, then I will go and get the beacons and move them, split them all apart, and just give us a lot of mining haste and stuff. But at least, by having everything being silk touched, it's not as bad as it used to be. I had, what was it, efficiency, I don't know what we're using, these are 4 now? Yeah. I had efficiency 2 picks with no silk touch, so it was actually being a bit of a pain to get everything going. Alright, put that up there, just fill in the hole. It slightly saves on torches. Not by much, though. There we go. 2, 1, not up. Torch. There we go. Okay, looks like this is where we break through the wall. Break on through to the other side. There we go, yeah. Excellent. Keep going. Actually, why don't I... 1, 2, 3... There we go. Ooh, good thing I did that. There's copper in them thar hills. That's what we're after. Dig them up now and fortune them later. And yes, I know I'm going to come through this spot later, but it's more of a habit than anything else. Oh, there we go. Oh! Well, I could use that. Thank you for the smile game. Just one? Interesting. Here we go. That makes up for it. As you can imagine, I'm a little bit distracted at the moment, just because part of my brain doesn't want to let go of figuring out what on earth I'm going to do about the situation that we left when we started. But we will figure it out. Because I'm interested enough in Vault Hunters that I'm going to play that ruddy thing come bleep or high water, which at the moment we're at high water. But I don't want to ruin anybody's day, so... It looks like there'll be some work to be done to figure out how I'm going to get through that. If I have to go solo, just to avoid these things I will, but I'm not super keen on it. At least I know if I can find a better seed so that we can make some better progress with everything. Hey, stop it. For the game. Why not? And can I get through here, please? There we go. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the reason I dig out the, excuse me, the reason I dig out the coal is, in a lot of cases, is because frequently there's copper on the other side of it, so I don't have to worry about that. But apparently not always. Give me a second to take a look at the map and see. Is this where am I? Huh. Okay. Normally, when I'm looking at this map, there isn't a water blob right in my way. So this is a bit more of a pain than I originally expected, but, you know. It's okay. We will just back bridge it and make it happen. Ooh. Okay, went all the way up. I've got myself a puddle. And we back bridged into water. Please. Thank you. Okay. I've got something to work with. I'm gonna pull that puppy up. Oh, come on. Push box, please. And is it? No? Oh, come on. Where are the source blocks? Thank you. Go away. Water, go away. It knows. Okay, there we go. I'm looking at my captions and wow, I feel sorry for anybody who's trying to use those. They are terrible. Come on. Just gonna take out a little more here. It's not a big deal, but they're saying things like Rockaway, it's something or other, and I'm trying not to speak very fast so that it would actually have a better chance of picking up on things. But it's either stupid or it just does not understand fast-speaking Canadian. I said fast-speaking Canadian, and it came up with I speak Canadian. It's like, yeah, and? I mean, at this rate, I've seen plugins that auto-generate pirate speak, and I vaguely wonder if I should use that instead. It would make more sense. It's not a big deal. The vast majority of quality streamers don't put closed captions on anyways. It was just a bonus for people. But if it's not helpful, it's not helpful. I might as well pick up the iron ore because the ore by itself actually might make a neat wall decoration. Go. I'm feeling a little bit cottonmouth this morning because I'm coming off of a bug that I had on the weekend. Those of you who were hearing me on Thursday morning were hearing just how off my voice was, and by the end of the stream I actually couldn't talk very well. It's just mostly a postnasal drip related sinus cold, but it's problematic at best. What is this? Ooh. Oh, no, I remember. I was trying to get the amethyst and not in the right spot. Let's get rid of this tunnel and come back to it when we actually need to, because it's no good to us right now. Alright, that's the end of everything, is it? Nope, it's not. Keep going. Copper, yay! I am well aware, for those of you that are on the same server or same patron, like also playing Dadcraft's game, or server, blah blah blah. Anyways, I'm also well aware that I am rapidly running out of time, that this next project may actually not get finished, or even started at the rate we're going. That's part of why I'm still sort of trying to bust my way through here. If it turns out that I don't get to it, then that's a shame, but it sort of is what it is. And I will at some point build this project in another world, but it doesn't have to be this one. But if I can get myself sorted out as which end is up and de-stress a little bit, then we might get a start on it. The other thing I'm going to look into more is what alternate blocks to use, because I don't have enough granite either. But maybe that might be the way to go. I'll have to see. It sounds like I've got time, but people are talking about space tours and stuff, and that may not be viable. Too early to say. Why spend time worrying about tomorrow, right? All it does is ruin today. Where am I here? I had a story and I can't remember what I was going to say. There was something I was going to tell you guys about that happened, and oh well. Being as I can't remember that story, I will talk about a little bit that we took the family to a local Christmas market on the weekend. Had a lot of fun with that. Just, one of those ones where you go and see the vendors and whatever. and the kids got to see live reindeer, which was always a thrill for them. And my daughter was completely enamored with the fact that she was able to buy herself a new plush toy sheep. So she's totally enamored with sheep. And it was kind of interesting because I was hoping she'd give this sheep an interesting and different name. But no, it just rhymes with the sheep that she had before, and she's got a whole family of them. I think it's like Tappa, Wappa, might even be Zappa for all I know. But it's that sort of thing. And I can't even follow her sheep's names anymore. Some of them have one name, and then it morphed into something else, and then the excuse for it then is that they've got a family name related to the sheep world they come from, and it just got complicated. So I can't follow it anymore. But she was really thrilled with it, so that, I mean, that's the important thing, I suppose. We had a lot of fun, and my mother-in-law always gets herself a cup of Blue Vine, which of course, needless to say, later on she feels a slight headache, and it's like, well, you knew it was coming. But yeah, we walk over from our house every year, and every year I poo-poo the walk, and every year it always seems that it was sensible. But I also need to start making myself go to these things without the kids. I like the kids, I really do. But then it impedes the vending or the shopping experience. And yet, when I'm dragging everybody back by being interested in the shopping experience, or even the browsing part of the experience, then the kids don't have as good a time. So we managed to get a good blend this year. But I always seem to think, oh yeah, I need to do this on my own so that I stop interrupting what they're up to. Oh. Okay, let's not drown. Get up here, this one. I need these. Here. 1, 2, 3. Uh-oh. No more drowning. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Okay. Make the tunnel a bit longer. This one. That one. And I pick up these two. There we go. Got it. Oh, great. Once again, let's chase out the water. So I quite like the Christmas markets and stuff. This year, my head was not really in it for the organization, so definite thanks to Fantastic Sherlock Fox for sorting that out, because I don't know what was my issue, but it wasn't going very well, and I was being antisocial, and really can't do that to people, because everybody deserves to have a good Christmas. I think part of it is just the crowds. And I don't really like going places with my dad anymore. He's older, which is fine. But he's gotten to the point where he figures everybody should stick together, and which is not reasonable at a market. And he doesn't have very good hearing, so he has trouble holding conversations while people are going to or at these things, which means he's not that much fun to be around. So. But as I said, it's part of the Christmas, I guess, tradition now is to do something like that. Head to a market of sorts. Oh,
hello.
Thank you, Maximum Olympia. I appreciate that very much. Quite a surprise. You made my morning. You definitely did. You made my morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I hope, I don't think we have any of the bot stuff on that should be preventing you from saying hello. So if you wish to, go right ahead. I'd love to know how you found us, what it was that was worth the support, and if there's anything particular you'd like to see different. You know, that kind of stuff. It's always good to hear how people found us.
Everybody hydrate!
I could use it. Thank you very much. Perfect. Let's check that off. So, in case you've just dropped in, I'm mining up copper because I would like to do a large bust-style statue for Hercule Poirot, basically, if I can, the David Suchet interpretation. And so as you can see, I need a lot of copper for it. You've never seen a mom playing MC. Oh, yeah. Now one would argue my kids got me into it, but that's only half the truth. I sort of got myself into it. Technically, my husband, Fantastic Sherlock Fox, did. The kids were all interested in finding out what Minecraft was all about because their friends were playing it. And so we found a family-friendly YouTube channel, and we decided to watch these YouTube videos to see what Minecraft was all about. And via that channel, I started playing Minecraft on my tablet. It's like, oh well, it's good, interesting, whatever. And I was actually quite, I would say, relatively hooked, but not addicted per se. But after that, this particular family-friendly YouTuber also started collabing with a different person who was equally family-friendly, and the second person started playing a mod pack that I was quite taken with. It was called Sevtech, and so when I found out I couldn't play that on my tablet, we decided instead to purchase the Java version for PC. So I switched over to that and really cut my teeth. Most of what I know about Minecraft was via playing Sevtech. And people talk about, what the differences are between the modded and the non, and so I had to be aware of, can or can't do certain things in basic that you can do in modded. So it was a whole learning experience in that respect, but then I became far more addicted to it than the kids, although they're still very much into it. They just don't play it nearly as often as I do. I mean, they just don't get the opportunity. But given the choice, when things go well and we don't have tech issues, then tech issues or human issues, then I tend to stream Minecraft. Right now is about 10 hours a week, I think. But I play it more than that. Yeah, if you're interested in a good community, I'm not... Oh, yeah, you'll see there, center, I've got DadCraft73 Patreon server. So this is a server run by a lovely, family-friendly YouTuber who's actually a handful of years older than me, like as in quite a small handful. But he's a great guy to watch and get used to. And he's understandably a dad, although his kids are quite a bit older than mine. But we started watching his material via this whole chain of, who collabs with who kind of thing. And once we got into that, we found a really great community. But he's got all kinds of people who go by names like, what was it? I think it was like old something or other beardy, but he's older than us. We've got a couple of grandmas. We've got, knitter moms, and like you name it. And it's really kind of cool. There's also a few people out there who, there's one actually who streams a little bit from homeschooling for kids and others. And she streams some of the Minecraft they work on as part of their school projects. I assume that some of it is educational Minecraft, but it looks like every once in a while they play some modded at her school. So that's pretty neat. It's a project out of British Columbia. So yeah, I'm in Western Canada, and I'm a scout leader in Canada as well. So what that means is that when the pandemic hit, we went online. Not everybody was able to, but the vast majority of our youth were able to join us online. So I've got a good amount of practice being online with Zoom for doing it for the kids. So Fantastic Sherlock Fox suggested, hey, you're enjoying this Twitch thing, you kind of find it interesting, you've been doing this with Zoom, why not give it a try? So I did, and nearly a year later, here I am. Still doing it, still loving it. Not a great big channel, but that works. It's fine and dandy for me. I always want to grow it, but it's not always the easiest thing to do. I'm learning that. And even when you watch the bigger streamers, interesting. When you watch the bigger streamers, even they have tech issues from time to time. So that's one of those things that I had to learn. Yeah, So generally I'm a stay-at-home mom, and how the streaming area started was I was streaming while the kids are at school. And then it's become a few streams on top of that, but not a lot. I think I do a couple in the evenings, but that's the majority of them. But I really appreciate your support. Thank you very, very much. If you find the material remotely interesting, I mean, today is not necessarily one of my best quality days, but if you find it remotely interesting, feel free to drop a follow, and that way you'll be able to find me if you're needing some background noise, or you just want to see what we're up to. I have played on a server, multiplayer server before. We used to host our own, partly for the family, just so that the kids could play and be guaranteed to be around, people that aren't going to be griefing and so on. But it wasn't the greatest thing because it didn't get enough use. So we just said, okay, fine. Well, I'll go play with somebody else then. Not quite the, take my ball and go home, but I can't say it was far off. So we thought it was probably a wiser set and more economical to be playing on someone else's server than to be hosting one of our own. Oops. Uh-oh, I lost my entrance. That's not good. Here we go down. One of the things I like about it is I'm discovering the hard way that it's difficult to find guaranteed family-friendly language communities and people who are fully on board with that attitude. But I know they're out there, and as you can see, we found one of them. But that's not necessarily everybody's cup of tea, so it can be a little bit challenging. Part of my theory for staying family friendly is not just because I have kids. It's also that I stream in a time slot where, depending on your time zone, there could be kids doing what I call shoulder surfing, just hanging out, looking over people's shoulders and stuff. And because you need to be 13 to have your own Twitch account, then for the most part you can assume that if you've got shoulder surfers, they're not 13 yet. And which means there's a lot of stuff out there I wouldn't want someone under 13 hearing about. Or at least I would not want to be responsible for that. So, yeah, that's part of why I choose to stay family friendly. I'm not overly family unfriendly myself, and this is meant to be a welcoming, positive community. We're not all touchy-feely positive kind of thing, but this channel is meant to be welcoming to anybody who wants to drop in and listen for a little while. Yeah. So once I get out of here, actually, where am I with regards to my map? Doo-dee-doo-dee-doo. Okay, I think what I'm probably going to do is detour. Maximum Olympia, would you like to see a little bit of a base tour? Because I can always take a break from this, do a super brief base tour, and then head back. It's not a big deal. Nope. Where did I? Oh. Why do I have... Go. Welcome on in, Craftin' Mama. I apologize for tagging someone who was lurking. I know it's considered bad form. There was a bit of a minor confusion this morning that I'm going to sort out afterwards. But one of the lovely places I was attempting to play is not exactly...
Hello there.
We didn't have enough comms. We didn't have enough comms before I started streaming this morning. Partly because of the schooling, and partly because I was not aware of what had or had not been shared in the community about my communication with the server owner. So I didn't want to duplicate and bore people half to death. Unfortunately, that turned out to be the wrong decision, so I'll sort that out after. It's not a big deal, but Craftin' Mama was one of the fantastic people who plays on the Vault Hunter server I'm quite interested in, so we'll just have to see how it goes. But yeah, just wanted to say hi and welcome. Let's see. Okay, well in that case, I'm just going to pick up this bit of copper. We'll head back and get it in the smelting or in the furnace, because I don't have a whole lot of big setup. There we go. Fairly cash player here, so I don't spend, well, I'm not a super speedy player, but I don't spend a ton of hours doing this sort of thing. So I do actually have other activities. And as I mentioned, scouting is one of those big ones. So it eats up some of the time. Oh yeah, no worries, no worries. I was a little thrown this morning by... Well, thank you very much for that follow. I appreciate it. So this morning I was a little thrown and actually started almost an hour late, I guess, because my daughter's school had phoned, and the poor gal, unfortunately, they were learning basketball in their phys ed class, and the poor gal unfortunately had taken a basketball to the face, so she had to get picked up because she had a nosebleed that the school was having trouble stopping. I got there and it had stopped, and nosebleeds are not an unusual thing for my daughter because she's just one of those kids for whom sometimes it'll just randomly start gushing. She'll be sitting, at the dinner table or reading a book, and her nose just starts to drip, and it's just... So I was not too bothered. I mean, obviously it's bad when you get hit in the face, but I wasn't too bothered by the fact that I had to come pick her up for that sort of thing. And I was fairly confident we could get to stop. She was one of those kids who, it may take longer to stop than your average Joe, but it generally does. Yeah. And actually it's funny because this one, it probably did hit her. I'm like, she says it really did, so I'm good with that. But there's been a couple of times where I've had to put in a report to the Canadian Safe Scouting System just because she had a nosebleed at camp. And one of the times that it happened, she had just simply... Oops, I went too far. She had simply just fallen down, not even hit anything, like literally just tripped. And I guess the slight rise in blood pressure was just enough to tip it over the edge. So I was like, oh, well, whatever. But I've had to submit paperwork for that. It's just the way the system goes, right? So we're used to that. And it was a bit of a rush just because my husband was supposed to be in a meeting, so I had to get moving to do it. And as people will easily understand, I'm sure, if the breadwinner has a meeting, then the one who doesn't just puts aside what they're up to. Okay. Oh, got just over a stack. That's not bad. So I'm not going to make you guys wait too long, but I think it's probably worth our time to get these ones all fortuned up and stuck in the smelter, or in the, well, blast furnace pair. It's not really a smelter combination, because I don't have a whole lot of big builds for that sort of thing this season. I just don't use them most of the time. As in, like, I have not yet filled up the chest for, which is that Fortune? Yeah, that's the Fortune one. Okay. I've not yet filled up the chest above the blast furnace with copper before I managed to, before I had to go and get more. So it's not like I'm overwhelming the two I've got. Oh, come on. This is one of those places I wish I had the beacon, but it just didn't happen. Alright. Really. One. Right, come on. There we go. Okay. Hey Benson, how are you doing this morning? Good to see you.
Hello there.
Yeah. Apologies for being late. Sheep Queen had a nosebleed at school, so we had to go get her picked up. So, yeah, it was a little interesting. And then I was going to do... Well, first off, I was going to do some Vault Hunters, but I decided that the first world I was working on was a no-go because the villagers kept committing suicide. So I figured, okay, well, that's not a good one, and had started on another server, from which I had not actually streamed yet. And I guess I didn't do enough comms, but the long story short was they weren't ready for me to stream yet. So no big deal. Switched over to this one, and we're just doing a bit more of the copper. And I have a couple new faces, so I'm going to do a speed tour for everybody. And have a couple of ideas of what some of the points of interest would be, because my Fantastic Sherlock Fox was actually showing my mother and my mother-in-law on the weekend a bit more of what it is I do, because when you get to that other generation, they don't always, like some of our community, they don't always understand that when you're streaming, it's not necessarily the same thing as just playing games on for hours on end. There's more to it than that. Sometimes there's prep and extra game hours so that you don't have to do a bunch of the grindy stuff on camera and so on and so forth. So he was showing some of my stuff off, and I realized that I actually have certain points of interest that are worth seeing and certain ones I kind of wish wouldn't get shown off, but they are interesting to people after all. Okay, so do I have enough? I should probably grab some more rockets just on spec. This one. That'll do. Yeah, I can sort out everything else later. No, put that back. So this is the inside of a church, as you can clearly see. In. There we go. I'll put that away later. So we can see this is the inside of a church. I actually am just using it as storage, so there's really nothing super fancy about it. And I haven't bothered to do a whole lot of interior deco. This may look weird, and I just haven't put them around the base yet, but these are my 31 cats. The base theme this season is all based on mystery books and mystery book characters. So the cats themselves, they're all named weird things. Like, well, not that one, but all the other ones are named weird names, which is related to a series by Lillian Jackson Braun called The Cat Who. So it's the cat who moved a mountain, the cat who knew Shakespeare, the cat who sang for the birds, the cat who lived high, etc., etc. This one was an extra. I teamed him before I made that decision to add the cats, and I had left this one in the wheat field and didn't realize it. So I was going to say I wasn't going to name him, which meant therefore he was the cat who shall not be named. And then I realized, well, that fit the cat who, so he's shall not be named, which is kind of funny to me considering I named him. The church is a reference to a mystery book character. I'm a fan of the G.K. Chesterton series with Father Brown as well, especially the... Oh, I guess I should sleep this one off. No, that's not. Looks like we're gonna have a storm. I'm out in the savannah, so that looked like it was headed towards night, but it's not. We just don't get the rain. So going up here, this big book, this whole right-hand side here, it's full of librarians, and then the left is everybody else. But literally there's the book reference, mystery book, right? It's laying flat with its cover on the back, and then the red below is sort of the dust jacket layer. So the church, where was I going with that? The church is a reference to Father Brown, so we've got this one, and especially the TV series done, filmed in England, and starring Mark Williams, who most people right now know as Arthur Weasley from the Harry Potter films. So yeah, but this is actually done based off of photographs of the real church that was actually used as the filming location in England. So that was where that came from. We have, hopping over this way, you can see, for those of you that are good at guessing, this is the engine portion, and then we've got the luggage car and the sleeping car, and then I've added a oh shoot, what is it called again? Basically like a lounge car, I guess, for lounge/dining car for the Orient Express. So Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie with Hercule Poirot. I'm a fan of Sherlock Holmes, so we have a giant magnifying glass and a bee block because he supposedly retired to Sussex to go keep bees. So yeah. Down this direction, oh, yes it is raining, oh, whatever. Down this direction you will see I have a, let's get this tree. Did I land on the tree? Oh good, made it today. I'll get there in a second. So we can see we've got 2 Egyptian statues and a riverboat, and that would be referencing Death on the Nile, also by Agatha Christie. They're somewhat normal for her. Yeah, the nosebleeds are quite normal for my daughter. She goes by Sheep Queen, and they are really quite normal. She'll get one where it's just like it's a pressure change or a weather change. So this one is Death on the Nile. The two statues were courtesy of designs by a gentleman by the name of Trydar, Trydar. But the boat, once again, I pulled up photographs of an old steamer that Agatha Christie rode on in supposedly the mid-30s, I think, about 1934-ish, and her book was published in 37. So most of the book was based on a particular steamer she rode on. So it was actually called the SS Sudan, and in her book, it's actually called the SS Karnak, steamship Karnak. So I made my own version of that, and there's actually bedrooms all the way along, and laid out in singles or doubles or whatever according to the SS Karnak floor plan. You're seeing, I'm not commenting on, but you're seeing a fair number of like more generic farms. So like that one's just hits the edge of a relatively basic all-type all-type mob farm. And there's inside the B block we have, surprise, a bee farm, right? And you've got, you can just see the edge of the iron farm, and there's a fish farm and whatever, and past the sheep farm. This weird monstrosity, it looks weird upside down, but it's not so bad when you're up in the air, provided that we're not too high up. I keep forgetting to turn off the clouds, but see if we can get turned around. Sometimes you can see it well from here, sometimes you can't. So this, giving an idea of the scale, 150 by 150. It's one of the things I'm kind of known for is carpet pixel art. And this is from the, oh shoot, what was the book title? Advent of Brother Cadfael, I think it is. So yeah, I've got, if I quickly tab out of this, resources, references, book cover, there we go. Oh, no, not that one, this one. So you'll see on screen there, it's a rare Benedictine, the Advent of Brother Cadfael, and so that's history book there. I like the monk in the middle is the major character. He used to be a crusader, and then after he gave up on the crusades, he became a monk, who's also a herbalist. And as a result, of course, he gets to go and deal with doctor stuff, but he does a lot of mystery things in between and gets himself in a good amount of hot water by bending the Benedictine rules of Catholicism, sort of skirting what's allowed and what's not allowed, and frequently making it through by the skin of his teeth through logic, so that works pretty well. Other piece, let's see, last one, and I'll do a flyby because this one doesn't show too well on the map, but let's give you a quick look here. J. Oh, maybe I hit the wrong button. I hit K instead of J. So it's going to try and refresh the shaders, which are not even turned on at the moment. Oh, I guess there they are. Shaders, okay. There we go. Let's kill the shaders. So, surface map. There's the 150 by 150 Cadfael design that we're working on. I'm almost done. I just don't do it on camera because talking to people while counting, 4, 5, 6, it's pretty boring. So, yeah. And you'll see over here, and I'll fly by that, I've got a bust statue I did of Sherlock Holmes. And let's sleep away this craziness. So the most recent addition is the bust statue. You can see we've got the standard profile with pipe, hat, the whole 9 yards. So that's all made out of stone. And if I actually take the mini hut off, then you don't see as much of the numbers, the last view there. So that was what I did in the October stream weekend. So these servers used to have stream weekends. We don't tend to much anymore. I'm not quite sure why, but I think November and December just got super busy is the big thing. October almost didn't happen. We just got some of the players who used to only play on one SMP are now playing on more than one, so their schedules just got really full with stream weekends for other servers. But yeah, so this is all vanilla plus, basically meaning that the server's purely vanilla, but I've added a good number of quality of life mods just to make life a little easier for myself. That, and I tend to get incredibly lost, so that's part of why I like the map. And that's pretty much all she wrote, I guess. The only other thing that I've built this season is we have a cafe at spawn, and it's a cafe / bookshop where I've used the concept of surprise books, but I've also used the concept of hidden doorways a little bit. So we've got some hidden stairways and stuff, We can total over there if we need to, but I can't think of any reason to be there at the moment. But yeah, so that's the long story short of tours. Let's go see how the copper is getting along. So after making this one out of stone, then I wanted sort of a bronzy look for the next one, and didn't really think I had enough of any particular material to make it work. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just go with the waxed copper and make a copper statue for a change. But as you can see, that's taking a bit more work than I had originally anticipated. So, yeah, that's what you wrote. Okay. 14 blocks. Like at this rate, we'll be here all day. Oops. Make one more block out of that. And we'll put these ones back. I think, there it is. I was going to say, am I obnoxiously storing the bead material in here? Yes. Wax copper. There we go. So we're talking, when you saw the Sherlock Holmes statue, we're talking a Hercule Poirot bust-shaped statue of somewhat similar size overall, which would imply then that we would need a lot more copper to work with, because that last one took, I think, 2.5, possibly 3 shulkers to do the Sherlock Holmes one. Now, we wouldn't be doing the definition of the arms with the pipe and stuff like that's not going to be there. So, I mean, it will take some less, but I don't think it's going to be like 2 shulkers less. So, got a ways to go yet. But yeah, that's what I've been doing this season. And back we go. So I've been going on a lot at length about Vault Hunters. Basically, I've been watching a lot of players playing this modded pack called Vault Hunters, which the premise, as I see it, is really sort of you do your basic vanilla stuff. You do what you need to do, so to speak. And then that's when the game really starts to get interesting. Pardon me, because then you get to build vault crystals that will let you into what's in essence like another dimension, but it's pretty much known shape mazes, I guess, for lack of a better term. And they allow you to, oops, just checking out oh, come on. This one. Let's try it again. Fresh, you silly goof. Alright. So, it's, known shape mazes. And then you get to get all sorts of vault gear, and that unlocks mods to be able to do your storage or your crafting or like power and a bunch of other stuff. So it's really neat in that respect. There are bosses you can beat at the various vaults. And then it all leads up to getting your vault levels cranked up, which would in turn then let you beat sort of the ultimate vault and the ultimate boss. I don't have any expectation that I would be able to complete before the servers would update for the next version of it. The Vault Hunter in essence version 3 has just been released at the end of November, so it's still a fairly new thing, but those that are into speedrunning have been following at least one YouTuber for sure who's already been able to showcase the final vault run. So I mean, it's not going to take long, but there's a lot of us that'll be playing a lot slower than that. Some of the people on the server that I was talking to were only like level 7 or 8 or something like that, and you can go up to, because I think most people were like 250 or 300 or something like that before they even felt remotely ready to try and take on the final boss. And this version has been significantly overhauled compared to the previous versions of the Vault Hunters mod pack experience. So it's somewhat new for those that have been playing before, but it's been released recently enough that a lot of the documentation available on the web is all referencing the previous version, which was designed for Minecraft 16.5. This version was designed for 18.0. 1.18.2, I believe it is, like 1.18.2. And what that means to us... Oh, what am I doing here? Ha 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 ha, I'm in the wrong spot. That's fine. I'll add a shortcut in the other spot, too. Here. Nope, not quite. So what that means to us is that there's a lot of stuff that is not the same. So it's a whole different system, I guess. There we go, okay. Let's back this out. Mini-map. Just want to make my shortcut tunnels so that I can get back quicker. Oops. There we go. There's one of them. Where are we here? Hopper! Yay! That's what we're here for. Yeah, I'm itching to play that. I was playing on a solo world, and it failed simply because, one, I recognized that it's not that it's no fun to play without friends, but it's more fun to play with friends, I guess. Another reason it failed was, as I had mentioned a couple times now, I had not found a base location that suits my normal preference. You can see from outside when we did the tour of this one, I prefer spots near a big field, but I also like to have a village, either as my starter hovel or as just an easy place to turn the villagers into traders and get stuff without having to spend forever in a day mining. I don't cave super well, but, you know, it is what it is. Oh, I turned off the heads up. Friends do make a big difference. And I really would, once in a blue moon, it's not even necessarily to have a rescue per se, but I mean, it can be company, it can be even someone to just chit chat with about what's been going on the server and have context, because you're playing with the same people even if you don't always play together. That's always a bonus. But in any case, so that's part of what I was looking at, and so the village I chose to base out of, I did not find what do you call it, like a flatter plains zone I wanted to work with. So I thought, okay, well, I found a village that wasn't too bad, and I would just work there, but started to put in the effort to level up some of the villagers a little bit so I could start trading with them for decent materials or decent armor or whatever. Because going to the vaults, one of the things they've done is they've nerfed a lot of the vanilla armor and such, which is interesting, but it means then that it's a much bigger deal to have the higher level stuff like diamond. And so I started doing that, but the village being on a valley that was kind of a narrow valley, it was spawned very much up and down the sides. Hello! No, I have not run a vault yet. The reason for that is twofold. One, I was not geared for it yet and would definitely have guaranteed to die. Although, I mean, that's very common with the starter ones. But also, in order to make the first crystal to open the first vault, you need to find yourself something they've added called chromatic iron, and also some vault stone. So you can make a vault rock and make the appropriate portals, and like there's tons of that stuff. I found 3 large veins of the chromatic iron, so I was thinking, oh great, this is fantastic, we'll keep rolling. Because everybody and their dog was saying there's vault stone everywhere. Yeah, not so much. More than 6 consecutive hours of offline grinding at various different Y levels, below -30, and not a vault stone to be seen. Not a one. So that was another one where I was going, well, you know, either I was going to have to completely pick up sticks and go elsewhere, or I was going to, at minimum, like as I said, either move within that seed or have to start over from scratch with a different seed altogether, which meant that it might as well be timely for me to look and see if there was any other servers that were interested in new players, since I had to start over anyways. Thought I found a home, and we'll see whether or not that pans out, but yeah. So as soon as I do, I'll make a bigger deal out of it. I'm still very excited to play the game, but at minimum, if I can't work out something with the server I currently like being on, then at minimum I'll ask them for the seed so I can run that one solo. Because the big problem I'm finding is that Dadcraft, your community is positively unique in a great way, but it means that that there aren't a whole lot of them out there like that, and so attempting to stay family friendly doesn't always work. I've been on 2 different servers now and had conversations with a third who said, "Yeah, sure, we can try and reduce our non-family friendliness for the period you're streaming. That's fine." And the comms didn't get all the way through to every member to make sure everybody was on board. And so it's possibly negotiable. It's just that it's not a given. So I'm kind of going, well, I could go solo, which is probably the safest bet, or I could try and keep working on this negotiation, but obviously I hadn't put enough effort into it thus far. So it's just a bit of a snag. There are plenty of people that are running vaults already. There's a lot of them are speedrunners, and then there are those that just are, frankly, they did better at this whole get good at the game thing than I did. So yeah, but yeah, there's a lot of mods that we've seen before in some of these games. Like we've seen, there's Mechanism and Create and I don't remember. I think we've got Powa in there as well. So there's a few interesting ones. We've got storage drawers coming up. I think there was Refined Storage was another option. I can't remember if it was Refined Storage or AE2, but they're in there as well. Yeah, exactly. I could use the nether gel quickly. I don't know necessarily about cool, but I can see where you're going with that. I think part of it is if it's a part of your day-to-day language, then I'd like to use colorful language, then it can be awkward to shut down and one can feel restricted. I backed off of Firepower's server because there was one in particular that was dropping language I wasn't happy with off stream very, very casually. And it wasn't minor words. Like I'm not a teetotaler when it comes to language by any stretch of the imagination. But they were dropping that, and then there was another one who was open about the fact that they don't tend to think about it, and they just use language like that. But they claim to have a reason. I'm not going to release it on stream because it wasn't for me to say. But yeah, which is too bad. The welcome is still there, but I was having a horrible time with their seed as well. Just purely bad luck. The other thing about it was that their server was farther ahead, with the speedrunners than anybody else, which I didn't necessarily feel showcased this sort of from basic, because they already had some of the mod stuff with people having unlocked it by the time I showed up. So there were people that were itching to get on there as soon as Firepower brought up the server on Sunday morning, and they've been playing, going great guns since. Oh yeah. Well, there are plenty of people who write like they speak, and that if you're going to take the time to put those words in there, then it says something about how you speak on a regular basis. And that was really all I was asking too, was just keep the typing family friendly. I don't care what you verbally say, because I'm not going to be hanging out in voice chat on stream. But, to each their own. To each their own. And I mean, the other thing I have to keep in mind too is that as you found out with your servers, and other people have too, you get too many people on there, not necessarily all at once, but even just too many players, and things start to lag out, and people have tech problems and stuff because there's just too many people. And so even if I did find a family-friendly server, because those are few and far between, the ones I've discussed so far, I had conversations with so far, unfortunately, the third one didn't have space because they just had discovered that for their budget they could handle a server that would have been big enough. They just couldn't afford it. So, oh well. That's okay. Yeah, it's not easy. It's totally not easy to find every possibility of Stripe. I had one server that glossed over the family-friendly thing because I had decided to avoid that and just talk about, inclusives, because most of the other experiences I'd had were, if you say family-friendly, they kind of look at you funny. But if you use terms like inclusive and welcoming and opening and positive and whatever, and I thought, okay, well, that should work, right? Let's go that route conversationally, and we'll open it up to ask what language is sort of stage 2. That backfired when I got asked if I was some sort of like tree-loving hippie. I was like, really? That's not likely. But, oh well. Let's see, let's put the copper down here because that's what I'm looking for. So I'm back. I'm back to mining copper. And I meant to move those beacons and I completely forgot. I've also ditched the text-to-speech. Coming off a bit of a cold like Sheep Queen was. And so the earbuds were actually irritating me. So I just ditched the text-to-speech today. I owe the people in Diecraft's community a picture of the new computer setup. It's not a new computer, but it's a new setup on my desk of monitors. We managed to find a sweet deal on a 1440 monitor. So I went from to a dual head setup that has 2 monitors with a 60 Hz refresh rate, to a triple where the 2 60 Hz ones went to the sides vertical, and then the central now is a 1440p monitor that does 165 Hz. So that's a very significant difference in the refresh rates and not seeing as many artifacts and tearing and stuff, which was fantastic. And I'm hoping that'll help a little bit with the motion sickness that I whine about far too often. But yeah. Oh, for Diecraft's edification, and anyone else who's interested in this whole Vault Hunters thing, it's I'm also quite the arachnophobe, as many of you are well aware. And somebody tipped me off. I saw a little bit in stream and had to go do something else anyway, so it wasn't fantastic. But somebody tipped me off to the fact that they had the overworld and the cave spiders, as one would expect. But then in the vaults, not only are the overworld spiders are faster, and they jump a lot more, there's also elites available in just about all mob types, but there's elite spiders that are monstrous, with a huge abdomen, and when you kill them, they, even before you kill them, they spawn babies that are faster than baby zombies, and they swarm you. And boy, do they climb and jump and whatever. And I said, nope. So I also have somebody else on the side who's looking at, for multiple different arachnophobes actually, but looking at making up a resource pack that would actually change those characters out. The last I heard, one of the target suggested models was using the tortoise that gets ore on its back from the Create mod. Something similar to that, maybe turning it into an angry version or something, and putting that in the vault because it's got a similar size and a roughly similar hitbox shape, so that it should be a fairly simple client-side overwrite as opposed to making it go server-side and have to change everything up. Because, yeah, that would just freeze me entirely. There is no way that I would be able to handle the regular spiders, which is too bad because, like I'm enamored with the idea of doing this mod pack, so it takes a little bit of work, I guess. This one, that's it. Oh, this one. There we go. So, yeah. So I've got that going as well. I mean, with my kind of luck that I've been having this past week, I probably... Hey, Neon, how you doing? Good to see you.
Hello.
Good to see you. For those of you that like widgety things, feel free to test out the exclamation point drop. It's a little parachute drop. It just drops your name and a cute little parachute down the front of the screen. Another one that we've picked up in the last couple of weeks is Plinko. So if there's no points betting or anything like that to do it, you just type in exclamation point Plinko and it does the same sort of thing. You're dropping your character down through a series of little pegs. There was something else I remembered having. Oh, we've got also silly little things like, I think it's exclamation point joke, If it's not that, it's exclamation point dad jokes. But yeah, so it pulls up that as well. Just a few of the flavor things that have been floating around and haven't seen much use recently. But I enjoy mod packs when they have a purpose and a direction. And so I felt this was something that would definitely be a challenge. But, you know, some things work out easily, and other times it takes some work to make it a viable option and opportunity. I mean, one of the other things I could do, we'll look at the possibility, but one of the other things I could do is attempt to spin up my own server for it, which allows me to both stream from it because I run it and I run the rules, but that would also potentially allow me to open it up to some of our community friends. That one has just occurred to me. I haven't had any conversation with Fantastic Fox about that, so I have no idea what he would think of that possibility. And besides, I would not want to step on other people's toes, which is something I do fairly easily. Boom, stickers. Yeah, keep the stickers free as well for now because, once again, they're flavor. I'm not here to make money. I enjoy it. The support is always welcome and fantastic, but I'm not here to make money. And I don't think any other streamer really, I shouldn't say don't think that's true, but I think a lot of the other streamers still appreciate it, even if they do make money from cheers and bits and whatnot. But it's the whole thing where I'd be here to play this anyways, and I'm here, I want to share it with you guys. And if it's your cup of tea, fantastic. If it's not, that's fantastic as well. You know, it doesn't have to work out well for everybody. Do you remember what I was going to say about that? One of the things I picked up this weekend was a fruitcake. And people find that funny sometimes because there's all kinds of stereotypes about how fruitcake is terrible. I'm actually one of the few that likes it. I think there's a good number of people that like it. But I had the opportunity of getting quote-unquote grown-up fruitcakes, like soaked in alcohol. And I passed on that because I like the flexibility of being able to choose what I drink. And sometimes if you have a fruitcake mixed with, you know, a brandy or something like that, it doesn't always go successfully with other alcoholic drink flavors. Like I do enjoy a mulled wine, and fruitcakes don't always work with that if they've been soaked in alcohol. So yeah, so my, I guess, random question, not really a question of the day, because not everybody likes fruitcake. But if you were a fruitcake fan, my question is always, light or dark? Icinged or not? And, yeah. I know there was a conversation around recently about what people tend to serve for holiday meal. Our family has a tradition, or had a tradition when I was growing up, of meeting with the aunts and uncles on Christmas Eve, and that's where we'd open up a lot of the extended family gifts. So we'd have roast beef and often Yorkshire puddings and stuff on that night. Gravy and stuff too. And then on Christmas Day, we go to another aunt's house, and she would do turkey and so on and so forth. So we get both. I thought that was kind of neat. And then that would free up my mother when she was hosting at Easter to do a ham. Now that I've got kids of my own and whatever, we don't travel out there anymore because, of course, those cousins have all grown up and stuff as well. So we go to my mom's, and she does hors d'oeuvres at Christmas. Like, pick your favorite thing. I mean, sometimes it's usually like wings and quiches and other little nibbly snacks and stuff like that on Christmas Eve. And then Christmas Day is our house, and we usually do a turkey, although my mom cooks it because, I don't know, heaven knows why, but she went and bought a purpose-made roaster. So it's like kind of like a slow cooker for only turkeys. I don't know why she bought it, but it has been useful multiple years just because then it frees up the oven for everything else you're going to put in there, rather than having to juggle where everything fits. And that includes the keep warm drawer. I don't think our keep warm drawer is one of the type designed to be able to cook in it, but it's definitely one that is very, very good at its job. But even so, it doesn't always fit the containers people bring things in. Yes, I am a knitter. Ooh, you're ahead of me on spinning wool. I've never actually bothered to learn that spinning section. My latest craze, though I'm very behind on it, gaming has sort of late taken that over. But my latest craze has been socks. So I was teaching myself to do socks. I've never been shown really how to do cable knitting or multicolored, like intarsia, I think it is. But anyways, even the multicolored yarn switching kind of thing, I've never learned. So there's projects like that. There's still a lot of growth to be had. And I'm a magic loop knitter, which basically just means that you've got the attached needles on a cable, and you can do both sides of that for socks at the same time. So not two socks per se, but you don't need to worry about all the four double pointed needles that are more traditional, I guess you could say. So socks are my thing. I find if I do, some people call it cheaty, but if I do the self-striping yarn for something, I can go for hours while other things are happening. So watching TV, YouTube streams, generally other projects, and I can knit for hours. But also being a scout leader, knitting is very conducive to that as well, because when you're going to camp and there's not much to do after the kids have gone to bed, you don't always have to be outside in the cold. You need to be hanging out indoors, shooting the breeze with the other scout leaders, and so knitting works out really well for that one. Once many moons ago, I was taught basics about fiddle. Darn it, that's not what I want to do. I was taught about crochet. Like I had not crocheted, and then years later I decided, I'm going to learn that again and pick it up from scratch. Great idea, poor timing. I decided knitting was easier, just what I'd been shown first, what got used to. But then turned out my daughter she wanted to learn. So I figured, okay, fine. I can teach it, even if I can't necessarily do it. It's the way I've been with a lot of things. Dance, knots, you name it. Weird, but it happens. So anyway, so I picked up the crochet again and kind of started liking it. Then it turned out, kid you not, like the same year, I guess a couple months later, I was only half effort putting in on the crochet because other things going on and so on. And my daughter decided that she was going to do Luna Lovegood from Harry Potter for Halloween. So a quasi-essential part of Luna's costume is she's got like a blue shoulder bag. And it's a woven thing, but someone had come up with a passable crochet pattern for it that really wasn't all that complicated. Like quite literally, you start and then you do one stitch ad nauseum. Because it's just crocheting in the round. Now, in their original version, they actually had their pattern designed in such a way that that you actually had to do a seaming up one side. So you could do that as you went, but there was always like a seam side to it. And I didn't see the point to that one, because you could equally just go round and round and round in circles. So that's what I did. I started out seaming it, so it's definitely a janky, very, very janky looking bag, but my daughter likes it, so sure, that's fine. And because of it was meant to look beat up and used, and like that's the way the thing was designed to be looking, even in the character's prop bag from the movie. So the fact that mine was, the beginner jankiness you get with these types of projects, then I didn't have to worry too much about that. She was very, very happy getting a somewhat janky beginner package. So, yeah, well, if it works, it works, right? Oh, for the love of Pete. Just can't get this thing blocked off. I could go around it. That would be sensible. But I'm stubborn. Very, very stubborn. Let's go here. Okay. Diorite, sure. The diorite. Those source blocks, like they leak in, and then you just can't seem to get rid of them. There we go. I've never learned much about, am I here? About lace knitting, actually. I quite like the look of it, but I didn't have a use for it because being blunt, I'm not fancy enough for shawls and stuff. Give me a good old Snuggie any day, or most of the time you'll see me wearing hoodies. I quite like my hoodie collection. I think that's probably just a scout thing. I mean, if you think about it, when you go camping, a shawl doesn't really have a whole lot of use. So that's probably why I didn't get into it. I'm not really sure, but that's the easiest excuse I can think of. Yeah, I wanted something that basically I knew that if I fell in love with a type of project, I wanted to teach myself something that I could guarantee would wear out and would need a new one made. That's part of why I turned to socks, because some people say you can never have enough socks. Even if you can have enough socks, if you wear them enough, you will wear them out, which means they'll need replacing. Therefore, there's room for more socks. You know, similar concept with, say, mittens. Particularly if you're a parent. Mittens always wear out. Or they get soggy or whatever, and you're going to need more pairs. So that works well. Mittens not as much as socks, but yeah. We have too many family that gift us things. My mother-in-law she's a trained seamstress, but she's also a knitting instructor. She's not the one who taught me to knit, by the way, but the resulting effect is that between her selections of woven materials or well-made scarves and gloves and whatever, she's much more fashionable than I am. Between those selections, she, has got me well and truly stocked in all the scarves I'm ever going to need. So, for better or worse, I guess. But she doesn't do socks, because everybody's sock taste is individual. And I actually thought about doing what's called a princess sole, which basically means that you make the bottom of the sock inside out compared to the rest of it, so that the ridge part is on the outside and doesn't bother your foot. Great! That conceptually sounds fine. The thing I discovered about that, just in a small test swatch, and then rubbing around on the floor, yeah, well, those ridges pick up like lint and shed hairs and all that. So, why is it? Oh, say why is it getting dark? Well, because this moron ran herself out of torches. So I needed to have something that interesting. Okay. I needed to have something that I could do ad nauseum. And I mean, socks have plenty of uses, and I can make puppets and stuff out of them if I needed to. It's not, the be-all and end-all. Oh, before I pick anything up, yes, there's silk touch on this. Okay, good. But I once, and only once, threatened to make Dad Crest 73 a pair of socks. And yeah, that didn't go over very well. Which is fine, that's fine. Not everybody likes gifted socks. Particularly not commercial ones. I mean, there's some pretty cool commercial ones he's been given over the years. I think somebody sent some to him inside a beer can, which was kind of cool. But, yeah. I thought about jokingly sending him a Christmas present of a set of needles and some yarn with a, build-it-yourself sock kit, but I'm like, nah, that wouldn't go anywhere, and it's just a silly joke anyways. So, yeah, there are things that go through my mind that it's probably best that I don't action them. So. But yeah, shawls are cool. I think part of it, too, is that my grandmother was very much into knitting, and so I used to get gifted, I guess not quilts, but Afghans a lot. Both my grandmothers were into knitting, so we got some Afghans. And we even got some weird ones that were given to my kids, my son in particular, because my grandmother on one side, my dad's mom, decided to make Alex, decided to make a blanket, and I just said it again, didn't I? An Afghan, or sort of like a baby gift when she found out that I was pregnant. But unfortunately, the poor gal had some Alzheimer's. So the resulting effect was that there was a point at which she forgot how to knit and couldn't complete the project. So my aunt completed the project. And needless to say, my son's not super enamored with it. I mean, what There aren't a whole lot of boys I know that like knitted Afghans. But I keep it. I mean, I let them play with it a lot. You know, they use it for blanket forts and whatever else. But I keep it for me as a sentimental reason because, one, it was that grandmother who started it has now passed. And the second reason is because the aunt that finished it now has Parkinson's. So it's got a bit of an emotional attachment because the people can't do it anymore. Yeah. My daughter off and on says she wants to learn to knit. And my son said he wanted to learn to knit. He did like half of a dishcloth, got credit from his scout leader for learning something new, and then never finished the other half of the dishcloth. It was just one of those things of like, are you ever going to get finishing this? And he swore up and down for probably about a year that he was going to finish it. And then I asked him again about 6 months ago, and he said, no, not interested. I said, well, fine, then I'm going to take it back and use the yarn. And I turned that into my crochet learning project because the yarn was already screwed up as it was. So, I mean, dishcloth yarn doesn't really get all that messed up, but it was already wrinkled and splitty and whatever to begin with, so I figured, well, then I might as well finish it. Oh! Not that far of a split, actually, Craftin' Mama. I'm just split deciding, you know what, I will DM you about that. I don't mind having a conversation about that, but I don't feel comfortable putting it on stream. Suffice to say, they're in elementary school, so that gives you a ballpark. Upper elementary, we'll put it that way. Yeah, but I can DM you afterwards. Also, for those of you that are curious, I do not have a Discord of my own yet. I keep talking about putting one together. I know they're dirt simple to do so, but it seems like everybody and their dog has them. And I don't want to be yet another one of those people that has a Discord where you go in and you might as well hear crickets. Now, I know I'm more chatty than that, because if it's something that I'm not, like if I'm shy about something or people, I don't have to respond to a message. So, I mean, I've got that luxury/freedom. But I just figured, you know, I don't want to be one of those people who has someone in the stream that goes, you realize I've got like 35 of these Discords to go through and I can't keep up with all of them. And I mean, there's reasons for it being in everybody's, but at the time I didn't feel it was that useful because at the time the dumpster fire of Twitter wasn't as likely to self-destruct as it is now. So yeah, we're watching that one, but we're setting it. But it's I wouldn't say necessarily stay tuned, but don't be surprised if that situation changes. I had vaguely, via implication, approached a streamer friend of mine to see if they wanted to co-Discord in the way that a couple of other streamers have. Like, for example, I know Griffin Prime and Casual Carrot are sharing a Discord because neither of them felt they could have a busy enough community to make one viable. So that was where the idea had come from. But, yeah, that didn't go over super well. Understandably, it wasn't a refusal. It was didn't get the message, and I was too chicken to pursue the idea further. So, yeah. But, my kids are in upper elementary and not old enough to have their own Discord or Twitch accounts. However, on some major weekends, like if there's a stream weekend that we want to watch, or if I'm streaming or something, then there's no telling if they're going to be watching. Usually we put it on in the house, and so they'll be hearing it, and they'll sometimes make comments. I actually don't have it set up right now, which is good because they're at school, but I have a channel on my phone, you know, text chats or whatever, that I usually set up in front of my monitor, so that if my kids have something to say about what I'm streaming, then they can text me directly, and it just vibrates through and it pops up on the screen. And if I miss it, I miss it, and they know that's the let's say, side effect of not being old enough, but at least it keeps them from being completely muzzled. It's too cool for it. One of the things I think that helps keep my kids going is that one of the teachers in their school, my son's teacher, he's had 2 years in a row now, is quite enamored with technology. And it's actually gotten to be a bit of started out as a joke and now it's an annoyance for them. But his class tends to bogart the school collection of computers. Like, they almost always have it signed out. But in addition to doing some things online, the teacher also likes giving them assignments in educational Minecraft. So, for example, in Canada, they were learning about Canadian history and forts. So what one of his assignments was to go on the educational Minecraft on the school server and into the school world, and all the students had to find a spot and then build their interpretation of an existing Canadian fort, or a fort that has existed, where there's a pattern for it. And they had to be able to explain why they put in all the particular features they did. They had to explain why they put their farms where they did, were they inside, were they outside, who was doing what, and so on. So they had to explain all of that stuff. And he does other things like that. So that's part of, I think, what's helped keep the kids interested. I think modded and marketplace maps, I think, have also helped keep them interested. Even before... Oh, where am I here? Did I? Oh, on the previous ones, I didn't go all the way. Okay. That explains a lot. Even before the most recent change by Microsoft to be able to have Bedrock if you've got Java and vice versa, we had gotten in on that earlier on, where you buy one and you got the license to the other for free. So it actually was like a one-off promo, but you had to claim it. And so our kids have iPads each. Initially it started as they were all hand-me-downs from me, because I was a tech support individual at the time. So to some extent I had to have something for work initially, and then it became, well, it was cool to have the newest, hottest, whatever. And the old one that was growing long in the tooth would go to the kids. But now they have their own, and they play Minecraft on there, which is, of course, is Bedrock. But they also play Minecraft on their laptops when they want to do something a little more powerful. So we had family servers for a while, but yeah, that wasn't their thing, and that's why we shut it down. Is that they and their friends couldn't make a go of it enough to keep it viable. So we shut it down because, I've got a computer strong enough that I can do solo worlds and stream, or easily go on other servers and stream. So I didn't need to have servers paid for me. So, yeah. But one of the things I find interesting, even for kids who want to go on a server and need a safer place to play, there are also, I'm not sure who it is that specifically that runs it, but there are also servers open mostly to Scout youth, and that's, you'll find like 8 to 10-year-olds and up, I guess, like Canadian groups that usually end up on there are 8 to 10-year-olds and 11 to 14-year-olds, sometimes higher, and then you'll find Scout leaders and stuff. And basically what these servers, what these servers are is they're like, you're not allowed to grief. They're always family friendly. There are additional mods required so that people can make sure the place stays safe for the youth. And that helps monitor language and harassment and griefing and that kind of stuff. So I quite like that, but my kids were not interested in going on quasi-public servers. Now that they're showing more of an interest, I'm gently encouraging them in that direction. It's not the be-all and end-all, but it's an easy spot that they would have something potentially in common with some of the youth playing, as well as knowing that it's a safe place for them. I did not even bother approaching them when it came to adult streaming, because you never know what somebody's going to do or say or whatever in the background, and I just didn't want that risk. But yeah, it's a good safe place to be. So when people say, hey, my kid's not 13 yet or something, but I'd really like to be able to get them to play on a group server and stuff, then that's one of the places I do point them. Is just, I'm not affiliated with it, but I've looked into it quite heavily, and it's really nice to have such a potentially safe location for kids to play. 1, 2, 1, 2, and oh, there we go. Yeah, that's... Yeah, with Actually, okay, I will cop to that. My daughter is 1 year older than yours, and she quite likes to play. But she's still at that stage where she loves to build things. Like when she's in creative, she loves to build things in magenta concrete. So you'll be doing early game, potentially. You know, like either. I mean, we've done creative, but we've also done survival. She doesn't find survival interesting because, of course, she wants unlimited materials now, and some of the mobs scare her. But if you go as a group, she's not scared. But anyway, so she will do things in like bright magenta, and it's like, that's but ugly. I'm sorry. You can do it, but it's just darned ugly. Don't expect me to like it. And then, of course, as all kids do, hey, look at this, look at this. While her brother, on the other hand, I think is, I'm just scrolling back here a little bit. He's a smidge younger than yours as well, not by much. And he's still of that boys who love TNT stage. So early on, they had a tussle where they were supposedly joint building something, and then he decided to blow up part of it and hadn't discussed it with her. And boy, kid version of World War III in the house, it was just insane. So that was part of where it came from. Yeah, the biggest fight they have is, and I find funny, is they insist on wanting to work on the same world for weeks on end, is the discussion, but the reality is not that way. So, which is, as I said, why we don't have a server for them anymore. But part of it was also that they were working on the same world for quite a while, and then they decided that, I'm getting really tired of these source blocks. But then they would complain because they'd get called for dinner, or one would have to go do something, and the other one wanted to use the world that the first one had been hosting. You know, or dinner call would come and one was finished and wanted to log out, and they were hosting, and they would just log out and shut everything down, and the other one still was in the middle of playing, occasionally even in an unsafe spot, and just got booted out of the game. So of course that caused a lot of arguments and tears and stuff. So yeah, that's why we initially started having a server for them, so then it could be up and they could do their own separate logouts or play on days the other one was, you know, at doing another activity or something. But as kids will be kids, they switch from interest to interest to interest. So yeah, not super easy to work with. That phase is definitely a thing. Makes Christmas interesting in terms of gifting, because my son's still quite a bit into Star Wars and Minecraft. But the big thing about it, though, is for both of them, things like what they're reading or what they're interested in doing or wearing or whatever. Murphy's Law every year, I swear, from like middle of October till middle of January or February at least, their interests keep changing. And so what might have been interesting on the weekend, by Tuesday won't be. You know? And it's, so you never know what you're going to do. We're not all about the gift receipts, but there's a lot more gift receipt stuff happening now than there used to be. It makes exchanges a lot easier, but it frustrates the extended family because they want ideas. What can we get them? What can we do? It's like, I can't answer that question for you. I'm really sorry. Well, we don't want to get them a gift card. I said, trust me, they're old enough. We've had the gift card conversation. They know. They recognize that if they get a gift card, it's because it's partly their fault. So, yeah. The other thing about our kids is, partly due to the COVID situation with a lot of stuff getting locked down and shut down, they haven't had a whole lot of experience with regards to being out in, out at malls and stuff, like learning to do the whole retail thing. It's partly that, and I mean, it's also, they're of a different generation where I don't think the whole idea of going and just hanging at the mall with your friends is going to be a thing the way it used to be when I was a kid. That used to be really interesting. You meet your friends, you go for, I don't know, like grab a snack or some lunch or whatever and wander around while somebody was shopping. Sometimes you just wandered and looked at stuff. That was really all there was to it, but you hung around at the mall. I don't think that's going to be a thing for this generation. It seems to be very different. At least my two seem to be much more Target kids. it's not necessarily Target shopping, but things like they want to go to a jump center for trampolines. They want to go to a laser quest type or a laser game, right? They want to go to the movies. They want to go to the whatever. But they're not those wander around type kids, which is weird. I mean, they love to go to the mall with mom and dad when we're just wandering up and down the mall for a stretch. But they don't seem to have any interest in getting together with friends to do that. Now, I get that mine are young, but even their friends' older siblings don't do that. So I don't know if it's gonna change or be the same, but it makes it harder. Which means then my kids are learning about things like, here's what you do with an Amazon gift card. Here's what you do with a Chapters gift card. Or sorry, with a bookshop gift card. I forgot Chapters is a Canadian company. So yeah, it's. So I've got one uncle who used to work as a distributor for Penguin Random House books. And so he's always, even since I was little, always wanted to get books for Christmas. He really strongly believes in kids reading books. He has no problem with kids reading Kindles, or something similar like an e-reader. That's fine. But he still wants to know what book can we get for them. Or what book can I, tell him or her that their Amazon gift card this year is for. And we just can't give them the answers because, 1 week it's all Star Wars, and another week it'll be all Lord of the Rings, or another week my daughter will be into, like, I don't know. She reads above grade level, so 1 week it'll be like Canadian classics like Anne of Green Gables and stuff. Another week it'll be Harry Potter, or another week it'll be, I can't remember what she has this week. Wings of Fire, some dragon thing. I'm just not all up on it. So it's you can't necessarily say that either. So I wanted to give him a gift card. But I said, I'd love to give you an answer. I can't. There just isn't an answer to give. So we'll just have to see what happens. On the other hand, gift cards are easier to mail. Strangely enough, letter mail finds its way here no problem. But this particular uncle, even when he computer printed the label for the address for our house, he still had sent, you can see from the postmark, he sent it in the middle of November for Christmas, which I would have thought, okay, well, maybe it might be a little late or whatever. He got it back as return to sender could not find address mail with an absolutely correct computer printed up mailing label. But he got it back in March. It's like, what? How does that work? So he emailed me to double check the address and told me the story, and I said, are you kidding me? And he goes, no, really, that's exactly what happened. I was just gobsmacked because we joke about, like, some of the foreign postal systems. I mean, Dadcraft's well familiar with joking about the South African postal system. Its acronym does turn out to be SAPS, but it is full of SAPS. It's really weird and nothing gets anywhere on time. But I've never heard of stuff actually being correct and returned to sender anyways. Well, the other one I thought was even funnier was, to make matters worse, apparently the post office wanted a COD charge for the returned mail. Which makes no sense at all, because it wouldn't have been if they delivered it correctly in the first place. So I don't know. We'll have to see if any of my packages this season go awry. When I can send them with people who are actually traveling to wherever it is, then I will do so. But yeah. And one of my husband's aunts has given up on trying to ship stuff to our house for the time being, and she's now shipping to my mother-in-law's. And I don't think there's a reason for that other than her just being a little squirrely sometimes. And so when something works, she sticks with it because just about everything else is unreliable. But I don't know the full story of that. I'd love to find out if that's really the case, but there's probably some other reason. But yeah. So we'll just have to see. Oh good, I did torch that up there. Oh, can I get this one this time? Yay! Boo! Come on. That one in there. Take all the 64s. This one, and this, and that, and that. And this one, and that one. Yeah, they've goofed up a lot of mail processes. Although Dadcraft has some patrons that at a particular level he sends them something every month, and thus far it seems to have been relatively reliable. I mean, aside from like the one that went to South Africa, but there's reason to believe that the post office out there was the issue, not anything he did. So there's always that. But yeah, it can be really janky. So we'll just have to see. I mean, it's funny because a few years I had tried doing the old, quote-unquote, old-fashioned Christmas card thing, where you send Christmas cards to everybody, and I just love putting them on the mantle or hanging them from a wire on the, attached to the wall or something. But part of it is it's a lot of work. Part of it is in the last few years, I've noticed fewer and fewer other people were even sending them. So, like, I have a list of people. It's funny, Fantastic Sherlock Fox won't believe I keep it still, but I actually do have a list of people who have physically sent us Christmas cards. And every year I track who sent us cards and ensure that those people get cards the following year. So the ones I sent to this year, I've sent 3, I think. The ones I sent to this year were only the ones that sent to us last year. Now there's one notable exception is a friend of his, for whom it would be really weird if he got a Christmas card sort of like more or less from me, but part of it is just because a couple times he and I have Fantastic Sherlock Fox and I have crossed wires, and I sent a physical one when he'd already sent a digital card. And there are certain extended family I'll send a digital card to who don't send anything, but the ones I send physical ones to definitely were the ones that I got physical from the previous year. And that list is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. I kid you not, we're under half a dozen now. So, oh well. It's just funny to how things change. But, the more I do computer things, and the more I hear from, older folks, like adults, or even adults talking about their parents and so on, the more I think about things that our kids wouldn't understand. I mean, like your kids and mine would probably have this, or Crafty Mama's kids and mine, probably have similar challenges with regards to certain types of older technology. Now, ours are a little spoiled in that I kind of like keeping people sort of apprised of history of things, not in a big way, but as in they're well aware that we didn't always have iPads, or we didn't always have TVs, or we didn't always have, that kind of stuff. But they're still really quite confused when they go over to, my mom and dad's place, and my dad it's a USB plug-in now, but my dad has a record player. My kids are kind of gobsmacked by this thing and don't particularly know what to do with it. Yeah. I've got cassette tapes and Walkmans, and they kind of gawk at you funny, like, what's a tape player for? They're not totally dumb when it comes to that sort of thing, but they figure out they could get it to go, but they don't understand why you can't skip tracks to jump to whatever tune you want, and why when it's over you have to rewind it. I said, well, you could just flip it over and play the other side. Do you always have to do that? Yes. Or the number of times that, like, growing up, I've had things where I'd gone to sleep listening to a CD player, and then let it run all night and discovered by pure accident that I had no batteries in the morning. Yes. So Fantastic Sherlock Fox and I have, cell phones, and we've got a voice over IP number, which comes with an app, so that we can even have our quote-unquote house number on our cell phones. And enough family and friends that call us do know our cell phone, and we tend to give that out. We didn't realize until recently we'd had an old set of cordless handsets, but we had never really had reason when they were younger to teach the kids how to use them. And then we thought, okay, well, we've got this voice over IP number with an app, etc. Do we really need to replace them? And it occurred to us our kids don't have cell phones yet. I mean, that might change in the next couple of years or so, but they don't have their own cell phone. So what if something happened and they couldn't use our cell phones because, you know, they can't get in, or whatever the case is, anyways. And also, I mean, even the having to text on their behalf to try and arrange what we now call play dates, you know, is annoying. And it's can't you guys sort it out, email or whatever, with your friends in the first place? Well, they can, but not all their friends have email accounts. And so finally we just decided we needed to replace the cordless handsets in our house. They were dying, so we got a new set and we had to teach the kids how to use them. So I missed one of the messages, so I'm just quickly reading through it. Crafty Mama says, I do, however, I have my childhood Nintendo still hooked up. It is the first ever video game they played, and we still play it as a family. Yeah, like, same vein. We, before I had kids, my husband had gone out. He had a PS2 system when we first got together, and I had never had a game system growing up. I mean, I knew what they were, obviously. I played on friends' game systems and stuff. My parents were very much not into having that. We actually did PC games all the way. Macintosh specifically, but the point is we did computer games. And so I never had a play system. But Fantastic Star Fox had one. So when we moved out, we used to play his. And then when Nintendo was going to release the Wii, I was actually explaining that I was quite interested in its style because it was a bit more physical. So he actually went, as a birthday present to me, it came out at right about the perfect time for my birthday that year. So he actually went out and spent hours, or something similar, but anyways, he spent time in a lineup, I guess is the point. We're not the lineup type people. So yeah, he went and spent time in a lineup to be able to get me one of the first white Nintendo Wii systems. So we still have that hooked up, and I mean, it's been used off and on. For some family events and stuff, we still play it. When the kids were a bit younger and they'd be home from school sick or something, pre-COVID, we hadn't gone online with anything, so of course there was no lessons from the teachers or whatever. So if they were homesick, then that was the only time I ever homeschooled them. And so sometimes it would be things like playing one of the music learning games on the Wii. Or we played, at my dad's suggestion, because strange enough my mother went and bought a Wii. But my dad's suggestion, we had bought and played a bit of a game by Steven Spielberg called Boom Blocks. And it's really nothing exciting. It's interesting, but it's your generic carnival knock down the blocks type of thing with a bit of a, but the premise is a bit more of the, you're knocking it down, but it's like a cross between that and trying to play Jenga, pulling the blocks out, using a sticky hand. One of those sticky hands you find in the cereal box. Oops, did I overshoot? I did. Yeah, so it's a sticky hand in a cereal box type thing. And so we were playing that. But that's the kind of thing that I had before we got the kids. I mean, it occurred to me not that long ago, my first iPad was actually, I think it might be slightly older than my daughter. I don't know if I got it the year I got my daughter, or if it was the year I had my son. I think it was probably the year I had my son, because I was still, nursing and cuddling him and whatever, and had been using one of those little tiny ePCs that they had for a while, the like micro laptops sort of shape. And this was sort of a no-go, so we got one of those iPads, and I've had one ever since. But as I said, like, I've worked tech support. I was quite the nerdy individual. I know how to use a soldering pencil. I can wire up things. I'm not a breadboard person in that I don't fully understand how all that electric stuff works. It's, in a way, it's kind of like knitting. Sometimes people don't necessarily understand how to design anything from scratch. They can follow a pattern just fine. And that's really where it's at for me. But I can do all those things. And so tech support was a natural job for me. And so having the coolest tech so that I could play with it, experience it, have fun with it, and still be able to handle the rigors of being a mom with a little one on her lap, it meant that I needed to go mobile. Hey, your daughter's friends call your cell, and that's it. My daughter's friends don't have their own cells yet, or call off their parents' ones, but I'll get really random texts in the middle of nowhere from a mom going, my daughter and yours would like to have a play date. Can we, are you free on Thursday? And so on and so forth. I've instituted a little bit of a rule, though, I mean, Fantastic Fox is on board as well. But it's a bit of a rule in our house where we had, when they were younger, I mean, it's less so now, but when they were younger, there was definitely a plan where you can have play dates, no problem, but it's never today. So the earliest you'll ever be able to have a play date for is tomorrow. Yes, I actually have that too. My contacts list is kind of funny. It's like, it'll be like, Samantha, Kenny's mom or something. Like, it's that sort of stuff. So the addition of, like, it's a full-on normal contact, but the nickname field is always whatever that person wants me to call them, and then in brackets, so-and-so's mom. I mean, for a while, there's a scout leader that my daughter has. And when my son was in that level, there was also a boy with the same first name as the scout leader. So that's fine, but rather than having, like, this other boy's parents generally didn't call. But it was just one of those things where rather than having, so-and-so, and just put it in as the name, I actually had them in by their scout name. So, like, it was like, Kayla. Kayla's in the phone. Oh, okay. And then I knew who it was. But now I've switched it all up and stuff, but that's the way some of them are in there. So we still have, like, our group commissioner. Now that my son is in scout level, our group commissioner is still in my phone as Chatter. Just because that was the name he had when he was with our youngest beaver colony. And that's what my kids kind of knew him by. I mean, now they call him Rama, but it's still in the phone as Chatter. So yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff in the phones. But I mean, it won't be long, because the other thing about it is my kids are starting to get to the age where there will be, and for some of them there is already, but a bit of a standing invite. So in other words, now that my kids are old enough to be allowed to walk themselves home from school, then there's standing approvals with certain families. So, like, if my son got approval to go hang over at his friend's house, like the one he's best friends with right now, then I'm fine with that. Just, you have to let me know you're there. That friend is already, because he's a bit of a latchkey kid, then I know my kid and him are responsible. So, I mean, I'm okay with that. But anyways, because of that, this friend has his own cell phone. And so all I have said to them is, well, okay, yeah, if you guys are going to both hang out over there rather than coming home, then just, message me. Either call or message, just so that I know where you are, and that's fine. It's the same sort of thing we had to do when we were kids, I'd go over to friends after school, and then I'd have to phone my mom to say where I was and when I was planning on coming home. So we've got that level, but we still keep a general eye on them, because, I mean, I won't let them do that sort of staying at their friend's place unless I've first cleared it with their parents that it's okay, and also that I've got, the measure of the parents and the measure of the family. Just, it's standard parenting stuff, right? But, yeah. Our son doesn't know it yet. He's probably going to get a cell phone for Christmas, just because we took a look at it, and the vast majority of the friends he's exposed to already have their own cell phones, barring the ones that we know are particularly sheltered. So that means that ours is kind of behind the times. And for being the kid or the parent with the coolest, hottest, cutting edge, whatever, then having my own kid be the one behind just feels out of place. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, that's pretty expensive, so we'll just have to figure it out. Well, that's exactly it. Now, you mentioned Crafty Mom. It says, yes, totally understand. My son just recently got a phone because he loves riding his bike about, and I want to be sure he can reach out in an emergency. Exactly. Now, we haven't made a ton of use of them, but one of the other options that we had, which would require him coming home and picking it up first, but we actually had got a set of the, like, walkie-talkie style radio things. And that would necessitate him to come home, tell us he's headed out, and then that would let us know to grab a radio, and then he's got one he takes with him and whatever. There's a couple of reasons why we didn't send it with him to school. One is that then we wouldn't know to have it on. The second reason we didn't is my daughter's friend. I still think that household's weird, but neither here or there. My daughter's friend has been given a radio, and she's not responsible with it. Neither is her mother, to be frank. And how that relates is that they have it out during school hours, which is a big no-no in my books. And they'll even be talking to each other during school hours. And I'm, not going to even give my son the chance to have that happen. So, I don't know. I might be too tough. It's possible. But anyways, it's nice to have them knowing where they are. And that last year, part of the reason my son didn't have one is last year he was hanging with a different friend. They've fallen out since, but he was hanging with a different friend who did have a cell phone for latchkey kid reasons. And so they'd still have the same effect that we were looking for anyways, in that they would still phone home or let us know where they were or whatever. Like, my son was able to use his friend's phone to text things, and that was fine, so I was okay with it then. Oops, double check. Okay. I'm probably only going to go for about another 5 minutes or so here. I started nearly an hour late. Normally I run from noon Eastern to 2 p.m. Eastern. But today, of course, because I had some unexpected starts to the day between the school call and the tech issues, that I figured I would run a little bit longer going the opposite direction. So still do a roughly 2-hour stream. I feel that that's a pretty solid run. I know some people do more, like longer streams, 4 hours and stuff. I find that I start to get really distracted, squirrel, and I'll zone into what I've been working on when that's the case. Meaning that, like, I'll zone into what I've been mining or something and stop talking. It's not intentional, I get distracted. So, I think a 2-hour slot's probably a good one. I don't mind running long if I've got a special event or something, like as in, the other thing I often do, and you'll find in the what is it here? In the points redeems thing, I call them clues, but in the clues redeems, there is an option for 5 minutes of Lego. That's a Harry Potter Lego. So I'm a bit of a Potterhead. Pardon me. And so when we're in the time zone right now where the server restarts just before I would normally start stream, and then it restarts every 12 hours, so it doesn't interrupt things. But there are parts of the year where it does restart right smack in the middle of the stream. And so what was doing then is having a 5 minutes of Harry Potter Lego build on stream, and then get back to whatever I was doing. And people can spend their clues to redeem for more. Since we've had the time shift, and that isn't the case anymore, as in it doesn't restart in the middle of my stream, then I've ceased the automatic 5 minute ones in the middle. And if people want a 5 minute break for Harry Potter Lego, then they can redeem points for that. That's all there is to it. But yeah, so if you ever catch me doing that, but sometimes, I think in the new year, if I don't have it, I think in the new year, because things are probably going to be pretty crazy before that, I'll probably do another marathon stream run. So it might be like a Friday or something, and I will open up a Harry Potter Lego kit and just build till it's complete. Some of the kits are smaller, but the last one I did on stream was, what did I do, 3 hours, 4 hours? I can't recall how long it took me. It wasn't all that long, really. And I just kept on building. It worked. It worked for a while. Okay, well, since I've only got about 5 minutes left, I think I'll take this opportunity to run back up to... Oh, let's see, where am I here? Janky? I can get through... Yeah. This way. I think I'm going to take this opportunity to run back up top and put this stuff in the smelter as well. And I'm going to be offset, yes. Darn it. See, one would claim that to some extent, darn is a not family-friendly word. So you can see I'm not totally perfect on that front. Yeah. So we'll get some stuff like that. But anyway, so you'll see sometimes that I will do Harry Potter Lego in between. I think, as I said, the last one was the hospital wing. And then the next big one, I've got a smaller one, which is a Thestral. Oops, too far again. A Thestral carriage set, and that's interesting. It's like the winged horse thing. I've also oh great, I know why that's there. I've also got waiting in the wings for a long build, the 12 Grimold Place set. So that would be the one that at one point belonged to one character, and then later on it belongs to somebody else. So yeah. I mean, obviously, if you're talking movies, it's way too late to worry about spoilers, but I try not to spoil things too badly. Yeah. Thank you very much for the follow. Good luck meeting your daughter, and have yourself a great day. I'm just about done anyways, so we'll just wrap it up and see who's available for me to raid into. Who's actually playing Minecraft. That's the other key. Okay, where am I? That's the box. Let's start with throwing that up there. I can always do the fortune after. That one's done. Okay, so we made it all the way through. What did we... Oops. This one. So we had 14 blocks before, plus another 61. So that's horrible, actually. But I mean, still, it's only about a stack and a bit of blocks. So we've got a ways to go before we're going to get anywhere near ready. And I mean, hey, if I don't make it, I don't make it, right? Them's the breaks. Go. So we're almost one shulker. I think what I might do to try and get a little closer is to do some more research about potentially an what's the word? An auto. I know there's one for Bedrock, and I can't even remember what it's called, but it's from Mad Hatter, I believe, where you can set it up to auto randomize. That's what I'm looking for. Auto randomizer, so that way I could look at having more blocks involved, and it would just do the randomizing for me, because that's the part I'm terrible at. So we'll just have to see how that goes. But we've hit the top of the hour, so I think I'm going to leave it here in front of the smelter and whatnot. And the plan for this evening, so I usually run a second stream in the evening, and that will be bingo from 7 p.m. Eastern? Yes, 7 p.m. Eastern. And that'll be in 2 hours. We'll run as usual with 2 cards, one each approximately 55 minutes-ish, and we'll just see how far we can get in that period of time, see how close we can get to Blackout. So I will be back for that, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. It was supposed to be Vault Hunters. It may be, but I just don't know where or what style or what's going on with that one. So that one's still up in the air, but that's the plan. Yeah, I'm going to wish everybody a great day, and let's just see who we've got to start with this, so that before I say the credits, you know, I think we're going to go to Bruno today. I think Bruno's got the nice energetic vibe I'm looking for. So we'll start our raid over there and then say our thank yous once the credit screen comes up.
Miscliff managed.
Perfect. So I want to say my thanks to everybody, to Crafted Mama for being a brand new follower, to Maximum Olympia for all the support and the cheers, and to Fantastic Sherlock Fox and Benson for dropping by. I really do appreciate that. As well, thank you very much to Dadcraft73 for coming in, and to Neon as well. If there's anyone who was lurking who I did not mention your name, you can either feel free to say hi and I'll call you out, or just wish yourself a great day on my behalf, and I will see you all. So please, if you've got access, feel free to copy-paste the raid callout. If you do not have access to my emotes, there's the raid callout below with the public pickaxe. Otherwise, any emotes you like or phrase that you like that's appropriate to show Bruno our support. And in the meantime, have yourselves a great day.
Transfer complete.